What's going on, internet? It's me, it's the Masked Man here again, and I just want to make a quick video about the interview I saw with Spike Lee. He did an interview with Sway in the Morning. It's about 25 minutes long. I'll leave a link to the interview in the description. And in the interview, he was basically defending the movie Chiraq, and he was basically saying that the movie needed to be made, saying that he was telling a lot of truth, saying that black people need to hold themselves accountable for what we do, and basically the tone of the interview was, we got to clean up our own house. I'm very annoyed with black people who say this. I'm very annoyed with that. I find it annoying because acting like black people can somehow in a vacuum get our shit together is either stupid or it's disingenuous for somebody to say, because there is a system, that put black people into the situation that we're in, and there is a system that is preventing black people from getting to where we need to be. So to act like black people, separate from all the other factors that influence the lives of black people, need to just get it together. I just feel like that's unfair. It's unfair to tell black people to get your shit together. I think that's unfair. As far as the movie goes, I still haven't seen the movie. I won't be able to see the movie until it's available on DVD in the public library, so I can't review it. I can't say how good a job I thought it did or didn't do as far as doing justice to what's going on in Chicago. I do feel that Sway is like the antithesis to Charlemagne, and I feel that this would have been a much better interview on the Breakfast Club. And I think that Spike Lee deliberately avoided the Breakfast Club as far as getting promotion for his movie, because Charlemagne is not necessarily, he's not necessarily, this super, black conscious person, but he will ask you questions that will make for an interesting and entertaining interview. And as much controversy as surrounded this movie, I think he would have pressed Spike Lee a lot harder. Just my opinion. I think he would have pressed Spike Lee a lot harder on why did it have to be a satire, and why did it have to be set in Chicago? Why couldn't it have been set in New York, which was a point that YouTuber that I'm becoming familiar with, and I like a lot, named Seren. I can't pronounce the last name, how that last name is pronounced, but I will leave a link of her video that she did on the actual film in the description. And I feel like his point, like he made a point about Nick Cannon. He made a point about Nick Cannon. A lot of Chicago rappers was giving Nick Cannon shit because Nick Cannon wasn't a savage. Nick Cannon wasn't gangster. And he was saying that that's not anything to be proud of. That's not something to glorify. 2 points. Number one, I think that people who had a problem with Nick Cannon not being a savage is that there are people from Chicago who have turned their life around, who lived, a gangster and a thug life, and now they're reformed, and now they were victims of circumstance, and against all odds, they transformed their lives uh, on their own personal strength. And you could have used one of those people to represent, to play one of these characters, one of those up and coming actors or filmmakers or whatever, so that the people of Chicago could identify, could see somebody who is actually going through what they're going through, and they can actually identify with somebody. And the second point, which is my point, Nick Cannon is not a bad choice because he's not a savage. Nick Cannon is a bad choice because he's not a good actor. Nick Cannon is not a talented actor. Nick Cannon, at best, is a highly intelligent, talented businessman. Nick Cannon knows business. Nick Cannon knows how to promote himself. Nick Cannon knows how to get shows on TV. He knows how to, host shows. He has a very strong business mind. But Nick Cannon is not a talented actor. Nick Cannon has one good movie under his belt, and that's Drumline. Black people love Drumline. He made one hood classic. Other than that, but that wasn't even a serious, dramatic role. So to throw somebody who has been in, half a dozen movies and doesn't have a compelling or, standout performance in any of them, to cast him in a role about Chicago and the violence being done in Chicago, that's just like, man, nigga, get out of here with that. Get out of here with this. He's not a savage. You didn't say he was a good actor. You didn't say that he did the role well. You didn't say that his performance was excellent. You didn't big up Nick Cannon and what he brought to the part. You didn't even mention that. You just dealt with the criticism and tried to shoot down black folks that they shouldn't be glorifying being a savage. But I think there's a point to what they had, that you could have chosen somebody who was from that kind of lifestyle, or you could have chosen a halfway decent actor from Chicago to represent that character. I don't know where Nick Cannon is from, but wherever he's from, he isn't a good actor. Other than that, I thought the interview was very softball, very promoting, very, I love this movie. Nobody had any legitimate criticism for Spike Lee, not even for the purposes of playing devil's advocate. I felt that they could have been more objective. I think that a guy who had called in, who was, I think, one of the only callers that they had, or the only caller that they had, he called in and he was very congratulatory of Spike Lee and giving Spike Lee a lot of praise. And you'll hear it in the interview if you go check it out. Even when he was trying to praise him, there was so much that he was bringing up and talking about that you can tell wasn't in this movie. He was like, back when we was kids, the police would wait for us and beat us up, and we had to dodge, the criminals and the police and all of that. And there are people that are marching for the 9-year-old that got killed. And he was saying a lot, and he wasn't even dissing Spike Lee. He was just saying there's so many layers to this situation that the people who saw this movie didn't even speak on. I don't know if it's in there or not. I'm just speaking on this interview. But that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to say on this topic. There's something else in my head, but I try to do this off the cuff, and I'm trying to keep this video relatively short. Let me know what you think about Spike Lee's interview with Sway in the Morning. Do you feel that he was defensive? Have you seen Chiraq? It is out now. What kind of message did it have? Um, Rate the video, like, dislike, subscribe to my channel. If you have any subject or any media story or any interview that you want me to check out, that you want me to talk about, you can email me at themrmassman@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Daily Motion at the Mr. Massman. If I can think of the other point that I wanted to make in this video, I will leave it in the description box along with the interview for Sway in the Morning, and of course I'll leave a link to the video for Seren, who did an actual review of the actual movie. That is all I have to say about this subject, and I will see you in the next video.